Hello guys, I am back with another video, that is from endocrinology Cushing syndrome. I will briefly discuss about Cushing syndrome. So what is the etiology? Increase in cortisol due to variety of causes, that is exogenous corticosteroids ultimately leads to decreases in ACTH, bilateral adrenal atrophy. Most common cause is the bilateral adrenal atrophy. And primary adrenal adenoma, hyperplasia, or carcinoma. It results in decrease in ACTH. Ultimately leads to atrophy of uninvolved adrenal gland. Next one is next cause is ACTH secreting pituitary adenoma, that is Cushing's disease, and paraneoplastic ACTH secretion, that is small cell lung cancer, bronchial carcinoids, ultimately leads to bilateral adrenal hyperplasia. Cushing disease is responsible for the majority of endogenous cases of Cushing syndrome. So what are the findings? Before going to the findings, we will briefly summarize the etiology. Increase in cortisol due to variety of causes Cushing syndrome, like exogenous corticosteroids, primary adenoma, hyperplasia, or carcinoma. Next one is ACTH. In this exogenous corticosteroids, decreases in ACTH ultimately leads to bilateral adrenal atrophy, which is the most common cause. Next one is primary adrenal adenoma, hyperplasia, or carcinoma. It results in decrease in ACTH. Ultimately leads to atrophy of uninvolved adrenal gland. Next one is ACTH. It through ACTH secreting pituitary adenoma ultimately leads to Cushing disease, and it paraneoplastic ACTH secretion, for example, small cell lung cancer, bronchial carcinoids, ultimately leads to bilateral adrenal hyperplasia. Cushing disease is responsible for the majority of endogenous cases of Cushing syndrome. Next one, findings. Findings are hypertension, weight gain, moon phases, truncal obesity, buffalo hump, skin changes, that is thinning stria. Next is hirsutism, osteoporosis, hyperglycemia, that is insulin resistance, and amenorrhea, immunosuppression. It can also present with pseudo-hyperaldosteronism. So what are the findings? Hypertension, weight gain, moon phases, truncal obesity, buffalo hump, skin changes, that is thinning stria, hirsutism, osteoporosis, hyperglycemia, amenorrhea, immunosuppression. So these are the findings. It can also present with hyperaldosteronism. So what is the diagnosis? Screening tests include increase in free cortisol on 24-hour urine analysis. It also increases the late night salivary cortisol, and no suppression with overnight low dose dexamethasone test. So what is the diagnosis? Screening test, it includes free cortisol on 24-hour urine analysis, increases in late night salivary cortisol, and no suppression with overnight low dose dexamethasone test. Next one I will discuss about Nelson syndrome. So what is the Nelson syndrome? Removal of cortisol feedback mechanism after bilateral adrenalectomy for refractory Cushing's disease ultimately leads to enlargement of existing ACTH secreting pituitary adenoma. It presents with hyperpigmentation, headaches, bitemporal hemianopia. So I will repeat once again. Nelson syndrome is a removal of cortisol feedback mechanism after bilateral adrenalectomy for refractory Cushing disease. Ultimately leads to enlargement of existing ACTH, secreting pituitary adenoma. Presents with hyperpigmentation, headaches, bitemporal hemianopia. Treatment is pituitary irradiation or surgical resection. I will repeat once again. Treatment is pituitary irradiation or surgical resection. Next, what will cause if the adrenal insufficiency occurs? Inability of adrenal glands to generate through glucocorticoids. It increases or decreases the mineralocorticoids for the body's needs. Symptoms includes weakness, fatigue, or orthostatic hypotension. Weakness, fatigue, orthostatic hypotension, muscle aches, weight loss, GI disturbances, sugar and or salt cravings. Treatment is glucocorticoid or mineralocorticoid replacement. Next one I will discuss about in adrenal insufficiency primary one. Primary is the primary deficiency of aldosterone and cortisol production due to loss of gland function that ultimately leads to hypotension. In hypotension, hyponatremic volume contraction occurs. Next, hyperkalemia, metabolic acidosis, skin or mucosal hyperpigmentation occurs. Increase in melanin synthesis due to increase in MSH, a byproduct of ACTH production from POMC. In this, acute occurs and chronic occurs. Acute occurs due to sudden onset due to massive hemorrhage, may present with shock in acute adrenal crisis. And next one is chronic. Chronic causes Addison disease due to adrenal atrophy or destruction by disease through autoimmune destruction, most common in the Western world. TB is the most common in the developing world. In this primary adrenal insufficiency, primary pigments means the skin or mucosa will be affected, associated with autoimmune polyglandular syndrome. Example, Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. So what is a Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome? Acute primary adrenal insufficiency due to adrenal hemorrhage associated with septicemia, usually due to Neisseria meningitidis, DIC, endotoxic shock. I will repeat. Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome is the acute primary adrenal insufficiency due to adrenal hemorrhage associated with septicemia, DIC, endotoxic shock. In septicemia, Neisseria meningitidis occurs. So, what is the secondary adrenal insufficiency? Seen with decreased pituitary acidity production, no skin or mucosal hyperpigmentation means ACTH is not elevated, no hyperkalemia, aldosterone synthesis is preserved due to functioning adrenal gland and intact RAAS. Okay, I will repeat. Secondary adrenal insufficiency, it is seen with decreased pituitary ACTH production, no skin or mucosal hyperpigmentation, no hyperkalemia means aldosterone synthesis is preserved due to functioning adrenal gland, intact RAAS. And tertiary adrenal insufficiency means it occurs seen in patients with chronic exogenous steroid use. It is precipitated by abrupt withdrawal, and aldosterone synthesis is unaffected. Next one, this completes the adrenal insufficiency. So now hyperaldosteronism I will discuss. Hyperaldosteronism means it increases secretion of aldosterone from adrenal gland. The clinical features include hypertension, decreased or normal potassium ion, metabolic alkalosis, and primary hyperaldosteronism doesn't directly cause edema due to aldosterone escape mechanism. However, certain secondary causes of hyperaldosteronism, example heart failure, impair the aldosterone escape mechanism, leading to worsening of edema. Primary hyperaldosteronism is seen with adrenal adenoma, means Conn syndrome, or bilateral adrenal hyperplasia. Ultimately leads to increase in aldosterone, decrease in renin. Increases in aldosterone, increase in aldosterone, decrease in renin leads to treatment-resistant hypertension. Treatment-resistant hypertension. Secondary hyperaldosteronism, what it will, how in which patients it will occur. A secondary hyperaldosteronism. It is seen in patients with renovascular hypertension, juxtaglomerular cell tumors, that is renin producing, and edema in edema conditions, that is in cirrhosis, heart failure, and nephrotic syndrome. Primary hyperaldosteronism is seen in adrenal adenoma, that is Conn syndrome or bilateral adrenal hyperplasia. Secondary hyperaldosteronism seen in patients with renovascular hypertension, juxtaglomerular cell tumors, and edema. Juxtaglomerular cell tumors occurs in due to serotonin producing. Okay, and edema in cirrhosis, heart failure, and nephrotic syndrome. Next one, I will discuss about neuroendocrine tumors in the next video. So thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe, like, and share and comment in the comment section. I will come back with a new video, neuroendocrine tumors, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.